everybody, it's Teresa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be doing a Russian spiral bracelet today. Russian spiral is not hard. It's a very easy stitch. It's a tubular stitch. I have a couple of examples here. This is one that I did with 3 different colors of fire polish beads. I think those are 3mm fire polish beads. And that's what I'm going to be using today, 3 different colors of fire polish beads. I've got one here. You don't have to just do it with 3 different colors or kinds of beads. I've got one here that I used 2 different colors of fire polish and 2 different colors of 8/0s and then some 11/0s. I know I have done one before where I used a mixture of fire polish and some of those little tiny Miyuki cube beads and some of the smallest bugle beads. So there's lots of different beads you can use, and you can get some really beautiful designs. Today I've got these are some dark purple. These are all fire polish beads, and I'm certain that I got them off when I was subscribed to the Dollar Bead Box and Bag many years ago. I, for some reason, didn't label them though, so I don't know what the colors are called. This is a dark purple. This is kind of a pink, and I don't know. I guess it's either a shade of purple or a shade of blue. I'm not real sure. I wanted to try to use some that would contrast well against each other, so hopefully y'all can see what I'm doing. And I've got some 11/0 Miyuki galvanized silver seed beads here. I've got a magnetic clasp and a couple of 6mm jump rings and a couple of wire guardians. And I've got my 8-pound fire line and smoke. I've got 2 size 11 tulip beading needles. I'll only be using one, but I always have an extra close by in case I drop one. Can't find it. I have a crochet hook. I'm not going to be crocheting today. But sometimes when you do these tubular stitches, it's helpful if you put it around a crochet hook as you're getting in your first several rows. It just kind of helps a little bit, and I'll show you how to do that as I go along. I've got my scissors to cut my fire line, and like I've said before, it's a good idea to use a cheap pair of scissors for your fire line because it will dull your good scissors. And then I've just got my chain nose pliers and my bent chain nose pliers to put my clasp on at the end, and I use my chain nose pliers to flatten my fire line so I can get it through the needle. I've already got a needle threaded with a stop bead on it. I don't have as long a piece of thread as I usually start out with because I probably would have run out of thread anyway, but I wanted to make sure that I do so I can show you how I add thread to this. It's pretty much the same way I add thread to everything. And then I've left about a 10, maybe 12-inch tail here that I'm going to go back and use to sew on my clasp at the end. So I'm going to pour out some of my beads here and I'll be back. Okay, I've got some of my beads poured out here, and I'm going to try to zoom in without blurring too bad so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to start out by picking up one of each of my colors of fire polish beads with 2 11/0s between. So I'm going to pick up my dark purple, this that I'm going to call blue, 2 seed beads, 2 11/0s, blue, 2 11/0s, a pink, and 2 11/0s. So that's what I got. I got my dark purple, my blue, and my pink with 2 11/0s between each. So I'm going to bring them down to my stop bead. And I'm going to sew them all into a circle. Go through that first dark purple bead. And then I'm just going to go through all of them. And I'm probably going to go through this first round a couple times to get it good and tight. It's kind of hard to keep. You need to keep good tension on this and keep it good and tight so it won't be loose. It's a little bit harder to do with the bigger 4mm beads than the 3mm ones I usually use. I know 4mm beads are not big, but in the world of bead weaving they kind of are. So I'm just going to go through these until they get as tight as I think I want them to be. And when you get around and you get through them as much as you think you need to, and it's as tight as you think it needs to be, you want to come out of an 11-0 between your two of the, it doesn't matter which ones, just come out of one of the 11-0s between the two 11-0s. Now I'm gonna push my stop bead out of the way here. Now you're always going to be picking up your big bead first, and you're always going to pick up, I'm coming out of this 11-0 going toward this blue bead, you're always going to pick up the next big bead in line. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead and two 11-0s, and I'm going to go into the 11-0 right after that blue bead. Pull my thread through, and that stacks that blue bead on top of the other blue bead. I'm going to leave it laying out like this for this first round so you can see. Now my next big bead in line is my pink bead, so I'm going to pick up a pink bead, two 11-0s, and I'm going to go in the 11-0 right past that pink bead. Okay, pull it through, and that stacks that pink bead on top of the pink bead that was already on there. Now my next bead in line is my dark purple bead, so I'm going to pick up a dark purple bead, two 11-0s, and I'm going to go into the 11-0 right past that dark purple bead. You want to keep pulling tight and keep good tension on this so it won't get loose. So that's what I got now. So now I'm going to step up. So to step up, I'm going to go through this blue bead, which is the first bead I put on in this round, and the 11-0 behind it. I'm going to pull through. And now I'm going to cup it up a little bit because I'm going to get into this tubular shape. I'm going to see if I can get my crochet hook through here. I'm just going to stick it through the center here. And you can use anything. You can use a pin, a wooden dowel, just anything, whatever you want that will fit in there. And of course you don't have to use anything at all, but it just kind of helps a little bit. So my next big bead is my pink bead. So I'm going to pick up a pink bead, two 11-0s, I'm going to spin my work around. I'm going to go into the 11-0 right past that pink bead. Pull my thread through, make it set up on top of that pink bead. Pull it tight, and that stacks that up on top of that pink bead. So I'm going to spin my work around. My next bead in line is my dark purple bead, so I'm going to pick up a dark purple bead, two 11-0s, and I'm going to go past that dark purple bead that's already on there into the 11-0 on the other side of it. Pull my thread through, make it go up there like it's supposed to. And now you got three purple beads, dark purple beads, sitting on top of each other there. Now my next bead in line is my blue bead. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead, two 11-0s, I'm going to go past the blue bead that's already on there into the 11-0 behind it on the other side of it. Pull my thread through. And that puts that blue bead on top of the blue beads that are already on there. Now I'm going to step up. So I'm going to go through my pink bead and the 11-0 on the other side of my pink bead. Pull tight. Now my next bead in line is a dark purple bead. So I'm going to pick up a dark purple bead, 2 11-0s. I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of that dark purple bead. Now my next big bead in line is my blue bead. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead, 2 11-0s. I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of that blue bead. Now my next bead in line is my pink bead. So I'm going to pick up a pink bead, 2 11-0s. I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of that pink bead. And that stacks those pink beads all up on top of each other there. Now I'm going to step up, so I'm going to go through my next big bead, which is my purple bead, and the 11-0, well, my needle fell out. The purple bead and the 11-0 on the other side of the purple bead. Now my next big bead in line is my blue bead. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead, 2 11-0s. I'm going to go into the 11-0 right on the other side of that blue bead. Now my next big bead in line is a pink bead. So I'm going to pick up my pink bead, 2 11-0s. And I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of the pink bead. Now my next big bead in line is a dark purple bead. So I'm going to pick up a dark purple bead, 2 11-0s. And I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of the dark purple bead. Now I have to do my step up. So I'm going to go through the blue bead and the 11-0 on the other side of the blue bead. And you can see that spiral starting to happen there. Now I'm going to take it off my dowel or my crochet hook. Now my next bead in line is a pink bead. So I'm going to pick up a pink bead, pick up 2 11-0s, go into the 11-0 on the other side of that pink bead. Now my next bead in line is the dark purple bead. So I'm going to pick up a dark purple bead, 2 11-0s, and I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of that dark purple bead. It's hard to keep this from getting loose with these bigger beads. Now my next bead in line is my blue bead. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead, 2 11-0s. I'm going to go into the 11-0 on the other side of the blue bead. Now I'm going to do my step up. I'm going to go through the pink bead and the 11-0 on the other side of the pink bead. Just pull tight. Now my next bead in line is my dark purple bead. So I'm going to pick up a dark purple bead, 2 11-ohs. I'm going to go into the 11-oh on the other side of the dark purple bead. Now my next bead in line is my blue bead. So I'm going to pick up a blue bead, 2 11-ohs. Go into the 11-oh on the other side of the blue bead. Now my next bead in line is my pink bead. So I'm going to pick up a pink bead, 2 11-ohs. Go into the 11-oh on the other side of the pink bead. Now I'm going to step up by going through my next big bead, which is my dark purple bead, and the 11-oh on the other side of the dark purple bead. So that's what I've got so far. So I'm going to keep doing that until I get to the point where I run out of thread, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how I add thread. Okay, this is what I've got so far, and I need to add thread. So I have come through my blue bead here, and I did my step up, and I'm just going to leave this needle attached because I want to know where I want this new thread to come out. So I'm going to go down here, just anywhere down here in my project, and I've got a new big long piece of thread with a stop bead attached. I'm just going to go down here and go through a bead, pull my thread through till my stop bead stops it. And I just got a black bead here, just happened to be laying here on my table. And now I'm just going to sew through. Just make sure not to cross over any beads and show your thread. And just sew through the beads until I'm coming out this same bead that the thread I left is coming out. Just going to go down through this one. And back up through this one, just whatever takes me up here so that I can come out of this bead that my thread that I'm about to end off is coming out of. So I'm going to go through here, and this is going to take me out the bead that my old thread is coming out of. So now I'm going to take my old thread, my needle, on my little short piece of thread here, and I'm just going to sew down through my project. And tie 3 half-inch knots. I think I'll get down here a little bit further into my project because it's pretty loose up here at the top where I'm still working. So I'm going to grab that thread bridge right there, go up through my loop, and I have not left myself very much thread. Guide my knot down until so it lands between the beads. Now I'm going to sew down a few more beads. Grab another thread bridge here. Go through my loop. Guide my knot down. I'm going to go through a few more beads. Grab another thread bridge, go back up through my loop, now go down through a few more beads, get my new stop bead out of the way there. So I already tied the 3 half-hitch knots, so I'm going to just go down through a few more beads to get away from my last knot. And I'm going to cut this one off. And now I'm going to continue on here with my new piece of thread. And then I'm going to take this stop bead off and put a needle on it and sew through and do 3 half-hitch knots just like I just did. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this thread in and finish my project with this thread, and then I'll come back and we'll finish the ends. Okay, I've got my length that I want here, and now I'm going to put the end on here with my wire guardian so I can put my clasp on. See, zoom in a little and hope that it will focus. Okay, I'm coming out of I put my 3 beads on here at the end, and I did my step up and came through the last 11 past this blue bead here, just like I've been doing. And I forgot when I laid my beads out that I needed a couple of 8/0s, one to go on each end with my clasping, and somehow my beads knew, because there were a couple of little 8/0s mixed in with my 11/0s, so I didn't even have to get my 11/0s out. So I'm going to pick up 3 11/0s, one of my 8/0s, my wire guardian, bring it all down to my bracelet here. Now I'm going to go back through the second channel of my wire guardian and back through my 8/0. This is going to be pretty much exactly like I put the clasp on when I did the filled tubular netting video that I did. Okay, so now I started coming out of this 11/0 past this blue bead, 3 beads, 8/0, wire guardian. Now I'm going to pick up 3 more 11/0s. And I'm going to go over here to the 11/0 past the pink bead. Pull my thread through and get my knot out that just formed. It wasn't a knot, it was just wrapped around itself. Okay, now I'm going to go through my purple bead and into the 11/0 past it. And now I'm going to pick up 3 more 11/0s. I'm going to go back up my 8/0 under my wire guardian, back through the wire guardian, back down the wire guardian, and back through the 8/0. Hold my wire guardian pinch so that the thread will come down in the channel. Now I'm going to go back down through one of my strands of 3 11/0s I just put on. Doesn't really matter which one right now. Now I can see that my thread is coming out of this bead this way, so I'm going to go back through it the way that it's coming out. So I'm going to go back through it and back through the purple fire polish bead. Now I'm going to go into the bead right under those 3 11/0s I just put on there. And then I'm going to go back up those 3 11/0s. Back up the 8/0. Now I'm going to go back up my wire guardian, back down my wire guardian, back down into the 8/0. If you can't get back down into the 8/0 all at the same time, just do it one at a time. Doesn't matter. I'm going to hold my wire guardian so the thread lands where it's supposed to. Now I'm going to go down through these 3 11/0s that I hadn't been through twice yet. And I'm going to go through this 11/0 and this blue fire polish bead. So that puts a little triangle there at the end that I'm going to use to put my clasp on. Now I'm just going to sew back down through my project and do 3 half-hitch knots like I did when I added thread. Just find a thread bridge here. Pull it down, go through the loop, pull it down really slowly so your knot lands where it's supposed to land. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to go through this 4mm and this 11/0. Find me another thread bridge here. Go through my loop, make my half-hitch knot, pull it down slowly. I'm going to go through this blue 4mm and this 11/0. I'm going to make my last half-hitch knot, go under that thread bridge, go back through my loop, pull my thread down slowly. Now I'm just going to go through a few beads to get away from my last knot. And now I'm going to cut off. Now I'm going to take my stop bead off this end and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. And then I'll come back and we'll put the clasp on. Okay, I've got both ends of my wire guardians on here now. So I'm just going to put my clasp on. Just going to take one of my 6mm jump rings, open it up, put on my bracelet, put on my clasp, and you don't have to use a wire guardian. You can use any kind of clasp. I used toggle clasps on those other two that I showed you. Now I'm going to take my other 6mm jump ring, open it up, put the other side on, put the other side of my clasp on, close it up, there we go. There it is, all done. So let me get some of my beads cleaned up here and I'll be back. Okay, there it is, all done. The Russian spiral stitch makes a little spiral there. Of course, you can do it all in one color. You can, there's so many different combinations you can do. Like I said, I've done one where I've used fire polish beads and 8/0s and little bugle beads and little cube beads. There's just so many different combinations of beads you can use to do this stitch. It's a very repetitive stitch. I find the repetitive stitches to be very relaxing. When I have something on my mind and I need to settle my mind, I do something like this and it helps. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. As always, thank you all so much for joining me today. I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to my channel and watched my videos and liked and commented on my videos. I have a website where I sell my jewelry. It's Teresa's Handmade Jewelry, and I'll put a link to it in the description box below in case you're interested, along with a link to my Facebook and Instagram and my email. If you haven't, I'd really love it if you'd subscribe and hit the notification bell so you're notified when I upload a new video. So until next time, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.